Generation X. In general terms, those born between 1965 and 1980. Latchkey kids. Independent. Existentialism. Modern philosophy focusing on personal experience, human ability, and responsibility in an otherwise meaningless universe. We're the cause. This is the effect. We're the Gen Existentialists. Welcome into another edition of the Gen Existentialists. My name is Scott. His name is
Bunny.
And we are here to chat with you for the next 20-25 minutes or so about a wide range of topics. We are both obviously Gen X. I'm not necessarily an existentialist, but I can buy into a little bit of the philosophy. I don't know.
I'm just a jerk.
He's not a jerk. We can all be jerks sometimes.
That's
we both
true.
have that patented Gen X eye roll that we'll use occasionally. Typically not on each other, but occasionally. We've got a mega wheel.
Mega wheel, the magnificent.
We'll spin the wheel, and that's how we pick our topics for the day. So, Bunny, you want to give it a spin?
Here we go, the big spin.
We're spinning, and we're spinning, and we're spinning, and the wheel has over 500 topics on it, so it takes a while to actually wind down. This isn't like the big wheel on The Price is Right. It's quite a bit bigger.
Yes.
Oh, do we have a topic?
We have a topic. What brings you joy? It's a very, very, very broad topic, but we'll start with that.
I'll narrow it down to a few things. I can't give you just one. I mean, we're recording this in my studio, and you can just look around on the walls, the posters of bands and different things that music gives me joy, writing gives me joy, family and friends give me joy, soccer gives me joy. There are a lot of things. It is kind of a real wide-ranging topic. But the first one I mentioned, I'll do music and go give that a deeper dive. Music for me is something that's become intrinsic to my very soul. When I listen to music, I intertwine myself with it. I listen for all the different instruments. Bad production drives me nuts. A lot of modern music production where everything is just kind of this wall of sound and it's not dynamic, and you can't hear the bass because it's just tucked in behind the guitars and things like that. That drives me nuts because I want to hear the interplay between the instruments. When I write, same kind of thing. I want things to kind of weave around each other and bounce around because I think it's indicative and reflective of life. So music for me is an escape. It's also a soundtrack. Like if I'm walking around doing something, chances are I'm humming music in my head, or I've got a recording or a song going in my head as I'm walking down a hallway, and I don't even think about it anymore. It just kind of happens. So that's mine right there. We'll go with music.
Wow. Well, I don't have quite the relationship with music that Scott has. I'm more of a hair metal guy, or just whatever sort of weird prog rock I could find into.
I just recently heard that hair metal is a derogatory term and we shouldn't use it anymore.
Oh, whatever. Here's my Gen X response to that. Whatever. Shut up.
Whatevs.
Yeah, just enjoy yourself. God damn it. What's wrong with this planet? Seriously.
Don't use that word.
Look at me. I'm gonna turn into Andy Rooney here. Speaking of Gen X, once again, we're just gonna go back in time and just gonna be, what's wrong with you morons? And you're getting upset about everything. Just suck it up, Buttercup. Anyway, what brings me joy in life other than excoriating idiots?
Hey, that's enough right there, to be honest with you.
I think I'll take a different avenue. I mean, of course, I think Scott hit most of the major topics of, family, friends, stuff like that brings you joy. I'm going to go in a more, let's go back in time, back to when you were a child and you had this secret world that you existed in.
Cue Peter Gabriel song here.
That's not.
Oh, come on. That's a great song. Yeah. Sorry, going back to the music thing. Bunny makes a comment, and immediately my head goes to, oh, the soundtrack for that should be this.
I think every child has this kind of secret world that they inhabit when they are children.
Sure.
Certain things that bring them joy, that color their world. So let's go back to some of the more simple things. What brings me joy? I like finding quartz inside of a rock because I'm holding something that took hundreds, if not thousands of years to be created that I had nothing to do with. I like the smell of tomato vines in the summertime. When I was a child, there's certain smells that brought instant joy to me for whatever reason. It just smells like summer to me.
So where, though? Where, because I'm picturing like where you grew up, where did you catch the smell of the tomato vines?
My grandfather, when he was still with us, had a farm with his brother in Indiana.
Okay, I didn't know that.
No, and we would go over there and help him pick various vegetables and plant stuff and that. So
cool.
I love the smell of honeysuckle.
Yeah.
At night after it's been sun-baked. Little weird things like that bring me joy.
Nice.
Seeing the way that the sun reflects off water. Hearing somebody that you love talking in the house, you know, in a distant room. That feeling of being without actually interacting. Those are the kind of things that bring me joy. And then, of course, there's broader things like, I love arcades. I love bad movies. I love people, for the most part, ironically.
Now, so you admit that you like bad movies.
Oh, I absolutely revel in the fact that I like bad movies.
Okay.
I made a career out of liking bad movies, actually.
In a past life, somebody was a B-movie horror host.
This is true. I've worn many hats.
When you get to be our age, if you haven't been living a whole lot.
Exactly. We should probably disclose that we are 50 years old.
Yes.
We've been on this
Both
planet for 50 years now, so...
We're both 50, but I'm significantly younger.
This is true.
Just saying. You know, you mentioned honeysuckle, and I love honeysuckle, too. My grandfather that lived in Bellevue was a police officer, my dad's dad. The house he lived in, the one part of their porch had lattice work, and it was just filled with honeysuckle. So there were those couple weeks every year where that smell just permeated everything. And the coolest thing I found, this was last year, a guy I work with is a beekeeper, and he had some honey. And if you can get honey at a certain time of year where the bees have been around honeysuckle, it's this just amazing, almost clear, translucent honey that tastes just like honeysuckle.
Nice.
It was the most amazing thing. And we just ran out, so I need to see if he's got any more. But
we'll see. You know, you mentioned that there's a couple of weeks in each year when honeysuckle is the strongest.
Yeah.
Another thing I absolutely love is there is a couple of weeks at the end of September, usually every year, where enough leaves have fallen and the sun is still warm enough that it's baked them, and it has that fallen leaf
smell.
Yeah, the absolute autumnal smell. And my wife just showed me a video over the weekend where she was, it was about a gentleman who said that he had turned 50 and he only had 27, statistically, he only had 27 summers left in his life. And that's something that he had to come to grips with. And I think being 50, I mean, obviously it's mortality is something I think about, but I think those kind of simple joys are the ones that I hold most dear because they are so fleeting. Think about that. If you are blessed with another 27 summers, you'll have 27 more chances to smell that.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't smell it in the winter. You can't smell it in your office, in your cubicle, working away. You can't just summon that smell usually. It's something that happens magically on this planet, something that makes this place unique.
And think about how many times that you haven't smelled it.
Yeah.
Like going back to the honeysuckle, like as a kid, because I stayed over there sometimes, when my parents were at work or after school, I would go there. There were a number of years there where consistently I smelled that every year. Mm-hmm. And it became part of my DNA through that. But there have been plenty of years where I've missed it completely.
Sure.
Not being around any. And
girls do that to you.
Girls, music, all kinds of things.
I think about the teenage years when it was too cool to really think about stuff like that. I had my had my mind on other things, let's say. And I think the older you get, the more recursive things become, and the more you sort of go back to where you started.
Yeah, you remember the things that matter.
Yeah.
And they don't matter simply because they were a part of your past. Mm-hmm. They are part of your makeup, because every experience you have ingrains itself in what you do, good or bad. And you can let those experiences take too much control. Mm-hmm. You can let yourself become embittered for bad things. You can become too needy of the good things. But living in the moment, I think, as you age and you gain more memories and more experience, if you shake things a little bit, it's easier to sift out the good, solid ones that stay on the screen, that are worth keeping and worth reviewing and worth doing again.
I think it's important for everybody out there to really stop and realize how temporary everything is. I mean, a lot of the things that brought me joy that were physical, that were people, they're gone. They're dead. They've moved on. So there are still things out there that are in that sort of liminal space, that esoteric space, that you can still find joy in. And they come to you each year. The earth, God, whatever you believe, gives you these gifts every year, where you can find stuff out there that really brings you that nice little dose of temporary joy, that it's never going to replace a mother's love or your best friend or something like that, your spouse. It's never going to replace that. But it's something, like Scott said, it's kind of deep and ingrained inside of your DNA somewhere, your karmic or your mental DNA. And it really triggers that and fires off those feelings inside of you, and that's a good thing. Maybe take a little time out and realize that, things ebb and flow, but if you really spend some time looking, you'll find things out there that can still bring you joy. Yeah.
And you don't even have to go backwards to think about things that brought you joy as a child. It can be new things. It can be a new band. It can be a new TV show. It doesn't have to be something that's not ephemeral in and of itself, like, arts and entertainment and things like that. It doesn't have to be highfalutin art that you have to go to a museum to see. It can be a drawing that your kid did, a painting that your friend made, a song that you remember from your youth, throwing on some Duran Duran on the way to work or something might be exactly what you need.
So that's that.
Do we want to spin again?
How are we looking on time?
We've got enough time to do something quick.
All right.
We're going to limit ourselves on this spin. Whatever comes up, we're going to go, we've got this much time, and we're going to rock it and move on. Because there will never be a to-be-continued episode here on the Gen Existentialists.
No. All right. Our second spin has given us a strange question. Who gives the best gifts in your family?
Who gives the best gifts in my family? I have to say my wife. And it's mainly because she knows me inside and out. She knows exactly the kind of things that I will love. And oftentimes they're gifts where she's gotten to be a little bit creative and done something that I absolutely would never have expected, and throws stuff out at me. And I can give two great examples. When we were still dating, because I'm a writer. That's one of the things I do. She made me a notebook covered in leather that she cut, put together, formed this notebook, and gave it to me. And I've never used it because it was one of those things where it was so perfect that I never wanted to actually write in it. So I've still got it in the exact form that she gave it to me. And like this past Christmas, one of her gifts to me was, it could not have been more perfect. One of my two favorite comic book characters is Moon Knight. And she made me a hat. She got a white hat and didn't draw him on, actually needle and thread, put Moon Knight's eyes and the crescent moon on the forehead onto the hat. And she wasn't done there because she is uber creative. She got little LEDs and put little mini battery packs in the hat. And so Moon Knight's eyes light up.
Nice.
So, I mean, that for me, you could not have found a more perfect gift. So my answer is my wife. How about you?
Gifts aren't really a huge thing in my limited family anymore. I will say probably the best gifts I've received just from extended family members would have to be, well, I guess Jean's aunt, of all people. I'm naming a name. That's my wife's name, Jean.
My wife's name is Tracy.
Jean's aunt, Donna, who was a retired school teacher, lived alone in Chicago. She sort of snapped into the zeitgeist that is Bunny. And one of the best presents I received out of the blue was a Christmas gift from her. That was a large cardboard box that was filled with bad B-movie DVDs. I mean, there was probably 50 DVDs.
Nice.
In this box. And I guess what she did is she liked to go to used bookstores. And she would find these cheapies, for $1 or $2 here and there, and she collected them throughout the year and put them into a box and sent them my way for Christmas, which was just an absolute thrill. It was fun to see that. There were some that I had, but a ton that I didn't.
Awesome.
So that was really a fun, thoughtful gift. And my aunt, when she was still with us, both are gone, unfortunately. Donna and my Aunt Sherry are both gone, but Sherry always took the extra step to make a gift even more special. Like, she would pack a gift in like a paint can instead of a box.
That's cool.
She would, decorate things up really nice. She was the first one to get me a lot of the sci-fi and horror memorabilia that I really glommed onto as a child. She was the youngest of our family, our immediate family, so I think she sort of tapped into that youthful spirit a little better than anybody else in the family. So
nice.
Those would be my two choices there.
Very cool. And that pretty much takes us right to the end of this edition of the Gen Existentialist. Any passing thoughts? Nothing. I don't either. I mean, there's a lot of talking. One thing to throw out to anybody listening, again, if you've got ideas for topics, we don't necessarily have to put them on the wheel. If you've got something you want us to talk about, want to get our points of view on, shoot us an email, and you may just hear it right here. We'll be with you next time, trying to do this every week. Have a good one.
See ya.